All right, bro, we're live. But yeah, before we went on air, I was just talking about who really cares about what who makes, right? I mean, we all are where we are for various different reasons. Um, some fell on hard times, some make bad decisions, some it's the product of both things. But if people want to talk about like $8 an hour being a bad thing, that they will have to talk about a whole lot of people. Because I think what we're really trying to do was get after G-Man because G-Man is over 40 years old. So he's making $8 an hour, but you know what? So what? So is a lot of people. I mean, um, I think the real issue is that they don't like his message and they don't like the message he preaches and they don't like the fact how he preaches his message. And they're just unfairly attacking him because they don't like his message. They're using his income to attack him personally when it actually has nothing to do with his income.
Right. Yeah, well, one thing I think, how's it going, by the way? Good to hear from you, brother.
Not
Hey,
too
everybody
bad, bro.
listening.
How have you been, man?
Bless, brother. I can't complain, man.
Hey,
So
man.
thankful, man, for this opportunity, man. Just gonna try to make the most of it. But I will say this, man. However you may feel about the man, because, and this is one thing I respect about Antonio is that he tries to give a neutral platform or run an honest platform, and and it's a very well thought out brother. He's very considerate and he's very prudent and astute. In regards to analyzing issues and trying to give a humble, honest, fair opinion and assessment of the situation. And so with that, um, I'm a Christian too. And obviously the people that Antonio is mostly talking about are the non-believers or certain type of non-believers in this group, and they may not be too fond of G-Man. And truth be told, I'm not too fond of him either. I mean, he's my brother in the Lord. I like him in many ways, love him in many ways, and dislike him in many ways too. And he has a lot to grow, and I'm sure we all have a lot to grow myself, But I think at the end of the day, like even before I came in the Lord, there's just one thing I learned growing up. At least this is how it is from where I'm from. You don't count another man's pockets. You don't worry about the next man's pockets. That's just ridiculous. You got to worry about what you're doing, because stuff like that, getting in other people's business, can be very problematic because some people don't take disrespect like that. And I'm not saying that in a way where G Man's gonna beat people up, but it's just it's a respect issue, more or less. Respect for the other person, but also respect for yourself, because you kind of have to stoop low to be to so over concerned with um, being in a person's pockets. And I'm not sure how, if he was the first one to say it and whatnot, and then if he put his business out there and people are commenting on it and saying what they're saying, he has to deal with that too. Um, but I think at the end of the day, however you feel about him, you have to realize that it ain't necessarily the income, because there's real solid people that are very mature and upright, upstanding people, and there are people that are poor. There are people who have I guess, a medium type, middle class salary. There's people who are rich, but it just really matters how you carry yourself as an individual, And so at the end of the day, however you may feel about him, however right you may be right about him, life goes on, life continues, and it's about how you live your life, especially how you live your life before in the sight of God. Which, if you deny him, whatever, if you believe him, good for you. But I think that's ultimately what's most important, because it's the nitpicking and the name calling is all going to be like vapor in the air eventually. But what's going to remain while you're here until the end of your life is how you carry yourself. And believe me, there's plenty of people with a lot of money in their pocket that are some of the worst people we can imagine. I think all of us can agree on that. So let's just get back to being adults.
Hey, man, well said, brother. I mean, there are good people that don't have a lot of money. There are rotten people that don't have a lot of money. Good people who have a lot of money, rotten people who don't have a lot of money. I mean, people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors and creeds. And um, the bottom line is Here's how they'll look at it. If he did have a lot of money, if he did have a lot of money, then they'll try to criticize what he does with it. Is he tied in enough? Is he given enough? And trying to find out like his stubs or his financial records of donations and stuff like that. They be trying to find out all sorts of information about how he uses his money. Let's say he's a multimillionaire, or maybe not even a multimillionaire necessarily, but a person who makes maybe a very nice six-figure income, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a year or something like that. That's what they would do if he were, making a nice stack of money, but he makes $8 an hour. Then it's, you know, he's making bad life choices, and um, it's nothing to be proud of, and blah 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 blah. And that $8 an hour is just a measure of the sort of way that G Man thinks, or something like that. It's just real stupid. You can't win with these people, man.
But let me ask you this though, like being honest, like are we gonna say that there's no truth to that at all? And I don't mean it in the in an insulting way, because obviously me and you, we're not here to dialogue to be petty and do any uh bitch crap. You know, we're men and we're talking amongst men. We have respect amongst men. So of course we don't mean it in a disrespectful sense. But I think one thing that's important now, that applies to all situations that is going on these days, if you ask me, is just being open minded and considering people's perspectives and where they come from and where people, what points people may try to point out. And so oftentimes there goes those half truths or those quarter truths or those uh, 0.1% truths or whatever, or what may appear to almost be true, however people distort it. But at the end of the day, it may be some truth in that. It may be some you know I mean, the thing is, nobody knows. Well, I don't know. I don't know how his upbringing was, and and I don't know what opportunities he spoiled and how he lived his life and stuff like that. But if it's true, there's always a point in our lives where that type of thing that they're trying to pin on him has been true for us in the past, in some sort of era in our life, and it will be true at some point in the future. But I don't know, people just making a big deal out of nothing.
Yeah, man. The bottom line is, it don't matter how much money you make, whether you make $8 an hour, or whether you make it $8 million a year. You can't take it with you. Who's gonna care when you leave this earth? Who's gonna care when you leave this world? Um, some people believe that people should make a lot of money. Like if you have kids or something, you should make a lot of money and like leave something for your kids to have, and your future generations coming behind you. Um, some people believe that no matter how much money you make, if let's say they're raising kids, no matter how much money they make, they kids need to, find their own way, build their own for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Um, there's this Christian who I highly respect on my favorite baseball team. His name is Adam Wainwright. He does a whole lot of ministry work, like especially during the off season. He does a ton of ministry work overseas, going to impoverished places, building a lot of things to help communities in impoverished homes. And um, he even had used his money to have machines built and installed into places where there was like really bad water and stuff. And these machines like do an amazing job cleaning out the water and giving them fresh water. He does a whole lot of amazing work like that, and a whole lot of amazing missionary work. And one thing he said was that when by the time he dies, he don't want to have a cent to his name whatsoever, not a cent. He want every cent of his money to go to some source to benefit what he's doing in the church or in missionary, and I mean in ministry and stuff like that. He doesn't want to have a cent to his name. So any of his children, they have to work and make their own way. He don't want to have a cent to his name when he dies. So there's a number of different perspectives on how to look at income and goals and stuff like that. But a lot of people have their own perspectives on how they look at these things, and they need to respect people's perspectives. Like if G Man's happy making $8 an hour, and maybe at the current time, maybe given his wherever he stands spiritually in the Lord, maybe that's what the Lord thinks he can handle, without wrecking himself or something like that. Or maybe God is using that to prepare him for something better. We don't know anyone's situation. We should not assume anyone's situation. I mean, even if you're a non-believer, man, it's just basic common respect. Like I said in the last video I just did before I started this hangout, a good friend of mine is an atheist and he barely makes over minimum wage. I mean, he's busting his tail to, uh, you know, make a better life for himself. He majored. I think he got 2 degrees. If I remember correctly, I think he told me he had 2 degrees. He majored in psychology, and I can't remember his other one. But jobs have been really tough, and that's been the case for a lot of people. Even those who have went to school for many years and they've gotten bachelor's degrees, um, master's degrees, and stuff like that. For a lot of people who've left school, it's been tough. Some people have had to go back to work at minimum wage jobs. I know I've heard of people who've had master's degrees who end up having to go back and be bartenders and stuff like that. And again, I don't want to say go back to be a bartender as if to make it seem like it's a bad thing necessarily to be a bartender or something. But um, if that wasn't their ideal job, if they want to do something like I don't know if they want to be like a professor or something, and they were having a hard time finding a job, and they went to do bartending because they couldn't find work elsewhere or something like that, and that's the state of their situation right now. People take what they can get.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you don't know what he's going through, you don't want to be presumptuous, and, you know, that may be the case. It may not be the case. It may be a bit of both. Nobody knows. But at the end of the day, um, it's just ridiculous, man, to be going to for that drama, worrying about, you know, this man's pockets or because at the end of the day, whether he has $8 or $8 million, people are gonna know you by your character, and so that doesn't mean a thing. So immature people are gonna be immature, man. But but yeah, you just gotta make better decisions. We always got all of us gotta make better decisions constantly, improve on our decisions, because if improvement can be there, why not? And so it's just narrow thinking. We're all adults, man.
And there was an issue a while back I had with an atheist, and this atheist admitted that they were on welfare. And guess who said a thing about the atheist being on welfare? Zero. It was actually in a live hangout.
So when you say atheist, like, because I'm trying to understand, like, so we're dealing with like a collective, right? Like a collective of atheists. Are we
No,
dealing
this
with
was one
like?
specific person.
Oh, okay.
Are
All
you
right,
talking about
okay.
like the people who knew about this person being on welfare and said something or didn't? Are you
Yeah,
talking
because
about?
when you say the atheists, you know what I mean. Like when you're saying them, you're talking about like.
I didn't see not. I heard not one atheist make an issue out of that. Not one.
And So I'm saying, what was the context of like people were like, oh, he makes eight so such and such. Like, when did he bring it up? How did he bring it up? Like, because sometimes a person may be aware, hey, this person's on welfare, but the conversation wasn't hostile. Wasn't going. It wasn't. It was. You get what I'm saying? The temperature of the conversation was a bit different. Right?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying, but all I'm getting at is when a lot of people like to, in very, very horrible ways, say that they'll look at one person who is living on welfare, then they'll look at another person who was not, who is working a job and making money, just if it's like whether it's minimum wage, whether it's $15 an hour, 20, it doesn't matter. They're not on welfare, right? And they'll more often than not, the person who's on welfare will get looked down upon.
Right, right.
Especially if they're able-bodied or uh, things like that, right? Um, if if one of us believers or one of us Christians were to admit we were on welfare, do you know what kind of backlash we would get? You know how much scoffing and mocking we would get? It would be
Yeah, but
relentless.
you know, and I don't know if it's just the atheists. I don't even know if I feel comfortable these days addressing them like as a collective. I kind of feel more or less addressing people as individuals, but
I'm not trying
you
to like
know,
dress them as a collective, but there's not just
right,
a few people that we've have
right,
interacted
right.
in
Yeah,
this
like I would
particular
just say,
community. More than a few people would make
I
that
would
an
say
issue. I'm
those. I
pretty
would say
confident in
those.
saying that.
Right, right. I would say like those people. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean it's. They're being dicks because they don't like G-Man. You know, and they got issues. And so that's why they say things like that. There's out that there's that bias there as well. So they're gonna be extra dicks because they don't like him. And I'm pretty sure if he was rich, hey, you probably they'll probably say, oh, you use a Creflo Dollar or something. You must did some Creflo Dollar type stuff. So they're gonna hate because they don't like the man, and they're gonna say whatever. But
Yeah, that's
you
another
know,
thing right there. Is like if you are in ministry and you do things like that, then you must have gotten your money by doing something like deceiving people in the pulpit or some crap like that. I think
yeah,
that's an excellent
Francis
point you
Chan.
made.
Yeah, Francis Chan proves that otherwise, and John MacArthur and a lot of people who are successful authors, and great speakers, and and they create other things. They create different type of content, do other services, and they're not there. Hey, God's gonna bless you if you put $15 on the collection plate and pass the collection plate 4 times around during service now. But yeah, I mean, people, you know what it is, man. It's just people that are very uneducated, and they're so they like a general discernment and comprehension about just matters in life that they're just not accurate when they assess a lot of things, and that's why they have such a skewed view of things. And it's not surprising that when it comes to matters of faith or that particular instance that you mentioned, it may be something else. And then you might, oh, this he's a flat earther. Oh, he's a, you know what I mean? Like you start finding out other stuff where you're like, wow, and just really ignorant, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because at the end of the day, um, yeah, man, every religious faith has the charlatans and whatnot. But like I was telling a brother the other day, if most professing Christians have read the entire Bible, when I say professing, I am including genuine Christians because they too are professing, as well as nominal Christians. But many don't even read the entire Bible, let alone from cover to cover, let alone multiple times, let alone taking intense time to study the different types of literature, hermeneutics, the science of interpretation, things like that. Yet I'm supposed to believe that non-believers are doing that and that they can give more accurate assessments of scripture. No, come on, like so it's just a lot of people are full of crap, you know, big dicks and they under the guise of promoting their atheism or their worldview or whether it's other people on the religious side, it's just a lot of times you just see through it, It's like, man, this person is just stupid. But
Right,
it's just that
man.
person.
As far as I'm aware of, Chime doesn't have any children or anything like that. I mean, whether he actually does or not, I mean, it's another issue. If he comes out about that one day, then that'll be something that'll be on his heart to do if he has any. Now I don't know if he's said he hasn't. I don't think he does though. But let's say he does. I'd rather a person make $8 an hour and have no children than to make 100+ thousand a year and have a lot of kids they're not taken care of.
Yeah, point is, it's not their business, man. And to say it
It's
in French, it's not their fucking business. It's what he does, who he sleeps with, what he does in the past, what he struggles with. Because at the end of the day, they live before the sight of God as we do. We live all publicly before the sight of God. And where's all the only God can judge me, people? Where you at? Go ahead, start parroting, start quacking, start rehearsing. Go ahead, pop out the woodworks, right? Because everybody he exists when only he can judge him, and he's all love and all this. So we all got monotheism, right? Everybody's monotheist all of a sudden. So
mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we all live before his sight. We're all accountable to him, and whether that's something we have to be comfortable understanding too, because whether they accept that or not, that's on them. But sometimes a lot of times it's like they don't. It looks like they don't even have the slightest clue of accepting that. But that's just the reality. And whether they understand it or not, that's on them. But we understand that, and we gotta like it too. We can't just be on the side of we understand it, and it's a truth that we accept and we embrace and we're willing to defend. It has to impact us in different ways too, in how their reactions towards us affect us. You get what I'm saying? It has to have that
Amen.
understanding has to have more of a deeper influence and impact on us as believers, because they could put up the front all they want, and this is not me disrespecting y'all. Don't think, hey, oh, he's G-Man's bodyguard or something. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. I ain't disrespecting nobody. You know, I'm pointing out both sides. So, but that's just the reality, whether y'all agree with it or not. So, you're so
Amen.
busy focusing on G-Man, you gotta focus on yourself and your life. And let me tell you this, Antonio, let's just keep it 100. All of these grown ass people who are here on the internet, on social media, doing all these hangouts and all these hours, these same folks, trust me, even though I don't know all the things in their life, I've gotten to know some, heard about other things, seen other things, but I can just tell you, nobody's in position to talk about him. And we shouldn't be high-minded ourselves, too. It goes for Gina and a lot of us, but they're not in position to talk about him, so whatever.
Yep, and I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million and one more, or however many times God allows me to have breath and continue to say it. They simply do not have any sort of moral basis to say anything at all. They don't have any moral basis
Talk to
whatsoever to
him.
judge anybody.
Talk to him, and what you said, they don't got what?
They don't have any moral basis to judge anyone or say anything to anybody.
Go ahead, talk to him, man. Because you see now the temp, now you see now the count. Ooh, it's getting spicy right now. The mood changed right now. Ooh, you feel me? They starting to get hot right now. I know some of y'all were like, oh, okay, I can get what they're saying, but hey, you know, it's not trying to be rude or insensitive, but oh,
And
they had to go there. Hey.
And Hannah in the chat said, I don't need a basis for every single thing. And Hannah, I like you. I really do. I have a whole lot of respect for you, more than almost anyone that you tend to hang out with in your general circles. But if you
Exactly.
don't have a basis for it, then it's just your opinion. That really what it comes down to is just your opinion alone. I mean, and ultimately, who really cares about your opinion? Like, and I'm not saying this to tear you down as a person. You know me better than that, Hannah. And I like again, I really respect you. I really like you, but um, you know,
You said
on an
ultimately.
ultimate level, ultimately,
Yeah,
who
I
really
like it.
cares whether you just have just some arbitrary basis? Who nobody's really gonna care. So,
Right.
I mean, that's not
Exactly.
any sort of
It's an illusion. I'm sorry.
right.
That's all right.
That's
That's
not
just, I'm
any.
not. I'm
Go
look.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me say something. When the comments that I'm gonna make now, my attitude toward discussion, please don't confuse the art of my dialogue. I'm not. I don't mean this in a mocking way. I'm just adding to what he's saying. Just saying. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. She's saying that like it's overplayed. Um, it doesn't really. It's the truth. I mean, let's say it was said all the time. It's the truth. If you don't have any non-changing standard, any sort of standard like that in your corner, then that's the bottom line truth. But I'm gonna continue this. I wasn't paying attention to the time. I'm on a library computer and the time is about to run out. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and come back and continue this. So I'll see you in a few minutes, bro.
All right, yo, hit me up if